today's class, let us discuss about a chapter which is related to biology. See, you know that biology, it is a branch of science which deals with study of plants and animals. Okay, so plants and animals together called as living organisms. So we can say that biology, it is a branch of science which deals with study of living organisms. So living organisms include plants, animals and human beings. See, study of plants, it is called botany. Study of animals, it is called zoology. So you will come across about those branches of biology in higher classes. But here you remember, in biology we study about living organisms. See, plants and animals, they are visible forms of life. See, as the time passed, biologists, they invented one important equipment which is capable of identifying organisms which cannot be seen through naked eyes. Such organisms are called microorganisms or microbes. So biology deals with study of plants, animals and microorganisms. See, generally in our surroundings we come across living things and non-living things. For example, stone is a non-living thing. Piece of chalk is a non-living thing. Similarly, duster, non-living thing. Pen, non-living thing. Stone, non-living thing. Plants and animals, they are living things. So in our surroundings we come across two types of things, living things and non-living things. How to identify that a thing is having life and a thing is not having life? So the important feature that separates living from non-living, it is life. So life is the characteristic feature which separates living from non-living. Then question is, what is life? So you can give hundreds of definitions for life. Many of the definitions that are given, they are philosophical definitions. But here we don't want philosophical definition of life. We want scientific definition of life. Okay? So what is the scientific definition of life? See, life is nothing but a thing which is capable of performing all the basic functions. Okay? So how we can say that a thing is having life? Based on the basic functions performed by that thing for its survival. Okay? So those basic functions which are performed by a thing for its survival, they are called as life processes. So how we can say that a thing is having life? Based on whether it is performing life processes or not. So what are life processes? Life processes, they are nothing but basic functions performed by living organisms for their survival. So a thing which is not capable of performing these activities, then it is said to be non-living thing, or we say that as dead thing. Okay, so that is how we can distinguish a living thing from non-living things. So non-living things, they are not capable of performing life processes. So what are the examples for life processes? Examples for life processes: nutrition, respiration, excretion, control and coordination, and reproduction. So these are called as, that is, life processes: nutrition, respiration, excretion, control and coordination, and reproduction. So living things, they are capable of performing these activities, and as a result of that, they are capable of surviving. Whereas a non-living thing, it is not capable of carrying out life processes. So how we can say a thing is having life? Based on whether it is performing life processes or not. Okay. Another important feature that separates living thing from non-living thing, it is cell. Non-living things, they are acellular in nature, whereas living things, they are cellular in nature. Non-living things, they are not made up of cells, whereas living things, they are made up of, that is, cells. So in today's class, we are going to discuss about, that is, the cell, which is considered as fundamental unit of life. So cell, it is considered as fundamental unit of life. See, here we have discussed that living organisms, they are capable of carrying out life processes. So how these life processes are carried out by living organisms? These life processes, they are carried out by living organisms by using a set of organs. For example, nutrition. Nutrition, it is carried out with the help of a set of organs. For example, mouth, buccal cavity, then esophagus, food pipe, then we have stomach, then small intestine, large intestine, and then we have liver, pancreas. All these set of organs, they help in the process of nutrition. Similarly, respiration. Respiration, it takes place with the help of nose, then trachea, then bronchi, then lungs, bronchioles, and then lungs. So with the help of those set of organs, respiration is carried out. Excretion. Excretion takes place with the help of an important organ called kidney. So kidneys are considered as excretory organs. Similarly, skin also helps in the process of excretion. Control and coordination. Control and coordination is nothing but response to stimulus. Living organisms, they are capable of giving response to stimulus, whereas non-living things, they do not respond to the stimulus. What is stimulus? Stimulus is nothing but change in the surroundings. So whatever change that takes place in our surroundings, for that we give certain response. It is also called as irritability. So that response to stimulus, it takes place with the help of a set of organs, sense organs. So there are 5 sense organs in our body: eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and then skin. See, eyes, they are capable of vision. Ears, they are capable of hearing sound. Nose, it is capable of sensing the smell. Tongue, it is capable of detecting the taste. Skin, touch, pressure, pain, all these activities, they are detected by skin, and a suitable response will be given. So which are the organs that are responsible for giving responses? Muscles and glands. And the activity which is performed by muscles and glands, response, for that is receiving the stimulus and giving response. For that there are some controlling centers in our body, and they analyze the situation and they give proper response. Brain and spinal cord. For example, when you step on a thorn, immediately you take your leg back. Whenever you touch an hot object, immediately you withdraw your hand. Suppose if you are walking to your school, suppose if you are going late, then immediately you start brisk walking. And even if you feel it is, that means you reach the school late, then you start running. See, all these, that is analysis, it will be controlled by brain and spinal cord. So overall, control and coordination, it takes place with the help of sense organs and then controlling centers like brain and spinal cord. And similarly, muscles and glands, which are capable of giving responses. Then reproduction. Reproduction is another important life process. See, without nutrition, respiration, excretion, an organism cannot live. It dies. But without reproduction, an organism can survive. But even though without reproduction, an organism can survive, why it is considered as a life process? Because reproduction is responsible for continuity of the species. So today I am here and giving a lecture on the topic of biology because of my parents, father and mother. My father and mother, they are because of grandfather and grandmother. So just imagine what would have been happened if there is no reproduction. So the continuity of species would have not been there. So that is why reproduction is important. And reproduction takes place with the help of a set of organs. Reproductory system in human beings, that is responsible for the process of, that is, reproduction. So generally all life processes, they takes place with the help of a set of organs. And each organ, it is made up of tissues. Okay, so each organ contains tissues. So what is a tissue? Tissue is group of similar cells which are capable of carrying out a specific function. Okay, so group of cells which are capable of carrying out a specific function is called a tissue. Okay, so in tissue, that is, cells are present. So by that we can say cell is the basic structural and functional unit of living organisms. For example, if you want to construct a building, bricks are required. So when you go on arranging bricks by using other materials, you get a building. In the same way, cells, they are the basic things which are required to build up an organism. That is why cell is defined as the basic structural and functional unit of living organisms. So what is a cell? Cell is the basic structural and functional unit of living organisms. So without cells, an organism cannot survive. So each cell, it is capable of carrying out certain basic functions, and because of that only an organism is having life. So when an organism dies, all the cells, they stop carrying out the activities. A dead cell, living cell, dead cell. So an organism continues to live as long as all cells, they are capable of carrying out their activities. Once they stop their activities, then that organism dies. Okay. So that is the importance of cells. So question is, who discovered the cell for the first time? So let us learn about discovery of cell. Discovery of cell. See, in the year 1665, a scientist by name Robert Hooke observed a thin slice of cork. Cork, it is a material obtained from the bark of the tree. Okay, so he took a thin slice of cork and he observed that thin slice of cork under a magnified lens. So with the help of that magnified lens, we can call that as almost microscope. So with the help of that magnified lens, when he observed the thin slice of cork, he noticed compartment-like structures which resembled honeycomb. Okay, honeycomb is it is ರೊಟ್ಟಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ. ಜೇನು ಗೂಡು ಇಟ್ಟಿರುತ್ತಲ್ಲ, ಜೇನಿಂದು ಆ ರೊಟ್ಟಿಗೆ honeycomb ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. So if you observe that is what we can say, that is the roti of, that is honey. There we can find that is honeycomb like structures, and within that honeycomb like structures small compartments are seen, and for these compartments Robert Hooke coined the term cell. So actually cell, the word cell, it has been derived from a Latin word meaning little room. Okay, so cell is a Latin word which actually means little room. So compartment like structures which he observed in the thin slice of cork he called as cells. Actually, he observed the dead cells because bark of the tree contains dead cells. But the credit of discovering cell for the first time goes to Robert Hooke. See, later living cells were discovered, and living cells, they were discovered by, this is first important feature. Second is living cells were discovered by Anton van Leeuwenhoek. So Leeuwenhoek observed the living cells like bacteria, protozoa, and sperm cells. So actually Leeuwenhoek observed the cheek cells. So with the help of, that is, a stake, if we take a small scrape, and when that scraping is observed under microscope, we can find that is living cells. And in addition to that, he also observed cells of bacteria, protozoa, that is like amoeba, euglena, and then sperm cells. So for the first time, living cells were observed by Antony van Leeuwenhoek. And after that, in the year 1835, that is, nucleus was discovered. So nucleus of the cell, it was discovered in the year 1835 by Robert Brown. So who discovered the nucleus of the cell? Later we will study in detail about the components of the cell. So nucleus is one such component of the cell which was discovered by Robert Brown in the year 1835. And after this, one important theory was proposed which is known as cell theory. So cell theory, it was proposed in the year 1838 by two scientists, Schleiden and Schwann. So Schleiden and Schwann, they proposed cell theory. So what are the important points of cell theory? See, the first point, that is first statement related to cell theory, it is that all plants and animals, they are made up of one or more cells. One or more cells. So if you take any plant or animal, it is made up of one or more cells. And then second point is, all cells, they arises from pre-existing cells. For example, if we take our cells, okay, so when I started my life, I was a single cell, fertilized egg, okay, zygote. When I started my life, I was a single cell, zygote. After that, due to cell division, embryo was formed, and then fetus, and after some time I got, that is, all the organs, and then get delivered by mother, and then I grew up. Now my body is containing billions of cells, okay, but when I started my life, I was a single cell. So based on that idea, Schleiden and Schwann suggested that all cells, they arises from pre-existing cells through cell division. Today we know about the concept of cell division. So cell undergoes division to form new cells. For example, when we are wounded, what happens? After some time, that wound will be get healed. So how that wound will be get healed? By the growth of new cells in that place. So when wounded, cells will be worn out. But after some time in the same place, new cells they develop, and as a result that wound will be healed. See, that means cell, it undergoes division. Again, you are going to study about that in higher classes, mitosis and meiosis. So today we have that concept. But almost in the middle of 19th century itself, the concept was given. Cells arises from pre-existing cells. And the third important point of cell theory, it is that cell, it is the fundamental structural and functional unit of living organisms. So all living organisms, the structural and functional unit, it is called as cell. So cell theory, it was proposed by Schleiden and Schwann. And after that, that is in the year 1940, electron microscope was invented. Electron microscope was invented by Ruska, and with the help of electron microscope, today we are able to study about the ultra structure of cell. Okay, see, these are all some important events that happened with respect to, that is, discovery of cell. Okay, so ultra structure of cell, that we can see with the help of electron microscope. So in lab, the microscope what we use, it is called as compound microscope, and its magnification capacity is about 200 to 400 times. Whereas if you take electron microscope, its magnification capacity, it is about 1 lakh to 3 lakh times. So with the help of compound microscope, we can see only cell membrane, cytoplasm and nucleus. Whereas with the help of ultra, that means electron microscope, it is possible to see the cell organelles, endoplasmic reticulum, mitochondria, Golgi bodies, chloroplast, all these things which are dispersed in cytoplasm, they can be seen with the help of electron microscope. That is what is known as ultrastructure of cell, and that electron microscope, it was invented in the year 1940. Okay, see, these are all some important events with respect to discovery of cell, and based on these, always you can expect questions in competitive examinations. Now let us move on to another important that is part of cell, that is about the number, shape and structure of cell. Okay, see, based on number, organisms are classified into two types: unicellular organisms and multicellular organisms. So So based on the number of cells, organisms can be classified into two types: unicellular organisms and multicellular organisms. So what are unicellular organisms? Name itself says organisms whose body is made up of single cell. Okay? Organisms which contains single cell, they are called as unicellular organisms. So what are the examples for unicellular organisms? Amoeba, Euglena, Paramecium, yeast. See, they are all examples for unicellular organisms. See, even though body is made up of single cell, that single cell is capable of carrying out all the life processes: nutrition, then respiration, reproduction, excretion. All those life processes, they are carried out by single cell. Then what are multicellular organisms? That is organisms which are made up of, that is, one or more cells. So all higher, that is, plants and animals, they are examples for multicellular organisms. Okay, for example, Hydra. Hydra is a multicellular organism. Then cockroach is a multicellular organism. Starfish is a multicellular organism. Mango tree is a multicellular organism. Lion is a multicellular organism. Human beings, they are also multicellular organisms. Okay. So based on the number of cells, organisms are classified into two groups: unicellular and multicellular. Then coming to the shape. Shape, size and structure of cell. So coming to the shape of the cells. So shape of the cell, it mainly depends on the function that cell performs. For example, if you take amoeba, shape is irregular. Okay, so amoeba is having irregular shape. It does not have a definite shape. Similarly, WBC, white blood cells, they are also irregular in shape. So they don't have definite shape. And similarly, if you take RBC, red blood cells, it is spherical in shape. If you take amoeba, it is irregular in shape. If you take RBC, it is spherical in shape. Similarly, if you take Paramecium, it is slipper shape. It is having slipper shape. Similarly, if you take muscle cell, it is spindle in shape. So shape of the cell, it is not same. All cells, they do not have same shape. So shape of the cell, it is decided by the function which it performs. So what function is performed by a particular cell that normally decides what should be the shape of the cell. Okay. So that is another important point I have to remember. Then coming to the size. So with respect to size, what actually you have to remember related to cell? Smallest cell. Okay. So see, normally some cells are visible and some cells are not visible. So you require microscope to see certain cells because of their small size. So which is the cell that is having smallest size? See, the cell which is having smallest size, it is bacteria and blue-green algae. So very important, in competitive exams question can be asked. Smallest sized cell, either it is bacteria or blue-green algae. See, normally size of the cell, it is expressed in terms of micron. Okay, and symbol for micron is mu. Okay, so micron, it is the smallest unit that is used to represent the size. 1 micron, 1 mu, it is equal to 1 by 1 lakh part. So 1 by 1 lakh part, actually it is termed as 1 micron. Okay, so always size of cell, it is represented in terms of, that is micron. So if you take smallest cell, bacteria or blue-green algae, they will be having very few microns. That's why it is not possible to see those cells with naked eye. We require microscope to see such cells. And then second part is largest cell. See, largest cell, it is visible to naked eye. And which is the largest single cell? It is egg of ostrich. See, normally whatever may be the egg actually represents single cell, and egg of ostrich, it is an example for, that is largest sized cell. And similarly, you have to know about longest cell. That is, which cell is the longest cell, and example is nerve cell. Longest cell is nerve cell. See, some nerve cells actually they runs about meters. So from the toe to the spinal cord or brain, that is a nerve cell will be present, which is a single cell. So inside our body itself, that is longest cell is present, which is nerve cell. So with respect to number, organisms are classified into two types, unicellular and multicellular. With respect to shape of the cell, you have to remember the cells which are having different shapes and why they have different shapes. And then with respect to size, smallest cell, largest cell, and then longest cell. So these are some important points you should know related to cell. Then coming to the structure of the cell. See, when a cell is observed under microscope, we can see three important parts. One is called cell membrane, and second is cytoplasm, and third is nucleus. So when a cell is observed under microscope, we can see three important parts: cell membrane, cytoplasm and nucleus. The outermost part of the cell, it is called as cell membrane, and then we have a fluid-like substance which is called as cytoplasm, and at the center of the cell we have, that is, nucleus. So this is cell membrane, cytoplasm, and this is nucleus. Okay. So let us know some important points about cell membrane, cytoplasm and nucleus. And in addition to this, if you are observing a plant cell, one more component can be seen, that is called as cell wall. In animal cell wall is not present, whereas in plant cell wall is present. So let us know about these components of the cell in detail. So first let us take cell membrane. So cell membrane, it is also known as plasma membrane. So it is the outermost layer of the cell which actually separates the cell from its surroundings. Okay. So each cell, it has a cell membrane or plasma membrane. And what is the main role of cell membrane or plasma membrane? See, cell membrane or plasma membrane, it helps in controlling or regulating the entry and exit of materials which are actually required. So in and out of the cell, materials, they move in and move out. That takes place with the help of cell membrane or plasma membrane. See, all materials, they cannot move into the cell. Similarly, all materials, they cannot come out of the cell. So cell membrane allows only selected materials to move in and out of the cell. That is the reason why cell membrane is also known as semi-permeable membrane. Semi-permeable or selectively permeable membrane. Okay. And then it also gives shape to the cell. So apart from regulating the movement of materials in and out of the cell, it also gives shape to the cell. So it is present in both plant cell and animal cell. And then second important component is cell wall. See, cell wall, it is a rigid outer layer which is present only in plant cell. Okay. See, what is the difference between plants and animals? Plants, they are sedentary, they are fixed to a substratum, whereas animals can move from one place to another place. See, plants, they require more protection. Plant cell requires more protection, that is from temperature, humidity, then air. So it requires more time, that is protection, and as a result, in addition to cell membrane, cell wall is present. So cell wall is present in all plant cells, and apart from plant cells, cell wall is also present in bacteria, then fungi. So apart from plant cells, cell wall is also found in cell of bacteria and cell of, that is, fungi. So what is the main function of cell wall? See, plasma membrane is selectively permeable, semi-permeable, whereas cell wall is fully permeable. That is, all type of materials, they can move in and out of the cell, that is through cell wall. But same thing cannot happen with respect to cell membrane. Only selected materials are allowed by cell membrane. So this is fully permeable, this is selectively permeable, and this gives protection to plant cells and it also provides rigidity. Okay, so that is another important part of cell which is seen only in plant cell. Then we have cytoplasm. Cytoplasm, it is a jelly-like substance which is present between plasma membrane and nuclear membrane. So it is a fluid which is present between plasma membrane and nuclear membrane, and cytoplasm, it contains all the essential substances that are required to carry out life processes. Okay. See, in cytoplasm we have all essential nutrients, and in addition to that it contains cell organelles which are capable of carrying out, that is, life activities. So which are the important cell organelles that are found in, that is, cells? One is endoplasmic reticulum, ribosomes, lysosomes, mitochondria, then chloroplast, then vacuole. Okay. See, endoplasmic reticulum, ribosomes, mitochondria, they are found in both plant cells and animal cells, whereas lysosomes are found in animal cells, whereas chloroplast is found in plant cells, and vacuole, it is the storage structure. So in case of plant cell, vacuole will be large. In animal cells, vacuole size is smaller. So to differentiate plant cell and animal cell, we can use cell organelles. See, all these cell organelles, they are distributed in cytoplasm, which are capable of carrying out particular activities. For example, ribosomes, they are responsible for synthesis of proteins, protein factories. Ribosomes are called as protein factories. Lysosomes, they are called as suicide bags of the cell. So for example, inside the cell, if metabolic activity is not taking place, or inside the cell if toxic chemicals are present, what happens? Lysosomes, it bursts out and it produces certain enzymes which are capable of eating all the cell contents. That's why they are called as suicide bags of the cell. Mitochondria, which is actually responsible for producing energy. So that's why mitochondria is called powerhouse of the cell. So these are very important terms. Ribosomes, protein factories. Lysosomes, suicide bags of the cell. Mitochondria, it is powerhouse of the cell. Chloroplast, kitchen of the cell. Chloroplast is responsible for synthesis of food in plants. In animal cell, chloroplast is absent. In plant cell, chloroplast is present. Kitchen of the cell. And similarly, vacuole, storage structures. Similarly, there is one more important cell organelle, which is called as Golgi bodies, found in both plant cells and animal cells. So cytoplasm, it contains all the essential nutrients and also certain cell organelles which are capable of carrying out all life activities. And then we have nucleus. So nucleus, it is called as boss of the cell. It is responsible for controlling and coordinating the activities of the cell. That's why nucleus is regarded as controlling and coordinating center of the cell. it is responsible for controlling all the activities of the cell. And in addition to that, nucleus, it contains hereditary materials in the form of genes. So inside the nucleus, genetic material is present, and that genetic material contains genes, and genes are responsible for the transfer of characters from one generation to another generation, that is heredity. So hereditary characters are transferred from, that is, one generation to another generation. It takes place with the help of genes, and they are found in the nucleus. Okay, so these are the three important parts of, that is, cell. In addition to that, plant cell contains cell wall. Now let us see the comparison between plant cell and animal cell. Comparison of plant cell and animal cell. This is plant cell, animal cell. Yes. So first let us start with cell membrane. So cell membrane, it is present in plant cell as well as present in animal cell. The next, cell wall. Cell wall, it is present in plant cell, absent in animal cell. Okay. Then plastids, they are present in plant cell, absent in animal cell. Vacuole, it is single and large. Okay, and here small and many. Understand? See, cell membrane present in both plant cells and animal cells. Cell wall present in plant cell but absent in animal cell. Plastids present in plant cell but absent in animal cell. Vacuole, single and large in plant cell, whereas small and many in animal cells. Okay. So this is how we can compare plant cell and animal cell with respect to some characteristic features. So very important is plastids. So plastids, they are present in plant cell, and in plant cell, plastids which are present, they are called chloroplast, green in color. So they contain green color pigment called chlorophyll, and which is responsible for trapping solar energy and converting solar energy into chemical energy. So with the help of chloroplast only, plant cell is capable of preparing its own food, photosynthesis. It takes place with the help of, that is, a type of plastids found in plant cell which is called as chloroplast. Okay, and in addition to this, we have two types of cells, and which depends based on whether nuclear membrane is covered by, that means nuclear material is covered with nuclear membrane or not. Okay. See, when we say nucleus, genetic material will be present, and that genetic material will be surrounded by a membrane which is called as nuclear membrane. So in some cells, genetic material is not covered by nuclear membrane. Such cell, it is called as prokaryotic cell. So in prokaryotic cell, nuclear membrane is absent. Pro means primitive, karyon means nucleus. Primitive nucleus is present. So which are the examples for prokaryotic cell? Bacteria and blue-green algae. And similarly, in all higher organisms, genetic material, it is covered by nuclear membrane, which is called as eukaryotic cell. So U means true, karyon means nucleus. True nucleus, primitive nucleus, true nucleus. Primitive nucleus means nuclear material is not covered by nuclear membrane. True nucleus means nuclear material is covered by nuclear membrane. Example, amoeba, yeast, hydra, then human cells. They are all examples for that is eukaryotic cell, except one, that is RBC of mammals. So except RBC of mammals, remaining all cells, they are eukaryotic cells. Okay. So this is one more important, that is point you have to remember: prokaryotic cell and eukaryotic cell. So these are some general informations related to, that is the chapter cell, the fundamental unit of life. Thank you.